you are literally going against the entirety of human history. You are saying that with a technological change, humans can't adjust. Humans are incredibly adaptable. We've adapted to everything from the beginning of our creation, right? Are you going against the entirety of human history because you just think that there's some technology that we can't overcome? Like I just don't see it. I'm not going against the entirety of human history. Yes, there's going to be an adjustment, just like there was with every other technological revolution. But I'm not going against the adaptability of humans. It hasn't happened changed in the past, and it's not going to change now.
That Mary Meeker slide deck, kind of really gets into this, and she had a fascinating finding that she looked at kind of the epoch of all the major technological change from the Industrial Revolution to AI.
Mm.
And the really fascinating thing is it follows a very predictable pattern, which is
Yeah.
each each one takes half the time of the last one for 51% of households to adopt.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
the Industrial Revolution, kind of the tools and the innovation, 42 years is what they
42
say it
years. Yeah, I
took.
thought it was like 30, but yeah, 42. Yeah, wow, that's a long time.
And then it
And
was like
what are they predicting now? What are they predicting? What is she predicting for
for
AI?
AI, 2 years.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's not surprising, but yeah,
Because it's gone
yeah,
from 42 to 2. And so this feeling we have that AI is moving much faster and that it's different. She says it is different. That if you look, one of the things she was saying was like, and she has all these great, metrics and analyses, but
mm,
the time to a billion searches a day, ChatGPT got there 5.5 times faster than Google.
yep,
I mean, so this feeling we have that kind of AI is just kind of flywheeled this thing into a, kind of a speed of innovation and, adoption that we haven't seen before is totally true.
yeah.
That she had a whole slew of, charts and analyses that show this this seems to be, I mean, in some sense it's different, but what she was saying is it's just part of this very predictable trend. The next one will probably be half of that.
So a couple of other anecdotes on this AI job thing, because I have strong feelings about just the silly takes. I really do. Okay, in New Zealand, and I'm sure it's exactly the same in the States. We have like for years and years and years, we do not have enough people for building, for nursing, for almost every care, like elderly care. I mean, to say there's going to be a job apocalypse when for decades probably we've been told that there isn't enough of people to employ in all of these different things. I mean, I mean, yes, it's different. It's different for sure, and there'll be this sort of a little bit of there'll be some redistribution, no doubt about it. To say that there's going to be like an apocalypse just because like a few people, AI can create presentations for you and analysis for you and code for you quicker is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, New Zealand has a health crisis, supposedly. We have a building crisis, supposedly. So like why couldn't there be in this Cambrian explosion of new software companies and new people deployed to those sort of jobs? It's exactly the same in the States, exactly the same, exactly
Yeah.
the same in Australia. It's exactly the same in all these places. There is, I mean, the unemployment rate in New Zealand is like the lowest it's ever been, and we've been hearing for 2 years that everyone's going to lose their jobs because of AI. I mean, it's just comical. It's comical. It's getting to a comical point, but you know how mainstream media love to create a lot of fear, and then that's sort of how they get you keep watching. I mean, it's the same online. Like that's how you sort of
Yeah.
get a lot of engagement in a lot of your posts, right? You post controversial things like this. That's all it is. It's just clickbait. It's just clickbait. It's not going to play out. There's just going to be so many new opportunities, and I'm already seeing. I mean, I'm already seeing it. We are already seeing it, and that's how I see it playing out. I do want to say though, there is a lot of disruption happening right
Yeah.
now. Like I want to be totally
No
realistic.
doubt.
I would even put, enterprise DNA is getting disrupted. Like historically, who we are, right? I'll be upfront. Like we are getting disrupted. Online learning is getting disrupted. But the other major thing that you're going to hear a lot more about is Google have basically they are rewiring the internet. I heard a really good anecdote.
This is the SEO stuff.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
totally rewiring the internet to their benefit and to everyone else's detriment. They are changing the rules and behind the scenes while at the same time coming out with all these amazing new toys that everyone keeps talking about. I heard a headline that I really resonated with. Google is quietly burying the internet. They are quietly burying the internet. They actually are. They are not sending anyone traffic anymore. I mean, you are picking up just peanuts compared to what you were before. And that is incredibly disruptive to any digital business, any
Yeah.
digital business, right? Also, the cost to acquire a customer through Google Ads has doubled in the last 18 months or so in terms of my own
Interesting.
metrics, right? It's
Interesting.
doubled, right? So they are creaming the ads whilst at the same time not sending you any organic traffic. That is immensely disruptive to so many businesses built up over the last 20 years or so. So,
Yeah.
I do want to highlight that. I mean, we're being forced to change, and we're already on this journey, right? We're on this journey. We're being forced to change, but you're going to hear a lot of headlines about job reductions and people losing out, particularly these like publishing firms. Like I saw Business Insider or something laid off 25% of their workforce the other day. It's because they're not getting any traffic. The traffic has just dived. It's just absolutely dived. Google's basically just putting AI over the top of everything. So look, whilst I can be excited about the future and stuff, there is no doubt a lot of disruption happening, particularly in the online universe. And I'm sure that a lot of others that we interact with online and that we know and that sort of have built businesses in this space, through blog traffic and various other things,
Right.
they're all feeling the same thing. They're all seeing the same thing. I think I showed you we know someone who's sort of experiencing it firsthand themselves. But yeah, we are not isolated. This is everyone, and it's changing so
Yeah.
fast as well. Like in 1 year, they've taken enterprise DNA's traffic down 95%. So I mean that's pretty significant, right? Like how do you? That's like having a retail store and then someone doing roadworks outside your retail store and then your traffic drops 95%. Like, that's kind of what's happening online to a lot of businesses right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's getting massively disrupted is like university education.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that, I mean, at least in the US, there's kind of the very top tier schools are, are keeping kind of the luxury brand intact. They're not increasing, student acceptance. They're not, they're not expanding. But the thing that PwC study found was, in addition to wages rising for AI highly qualified folks, is that firms who are recruiting are dropping their education requirements.
Mm.
Um, and they're really, I mean, this is something I think, a lot of us have been saying for years is that it's stupid to say, okay, this position has to have a master's or this position has to have, a PhD. And, what they're finding is that in some sense, 4 years of university education is putting you behind because the universities
Mhm.
are not at the cutting edge of this. And so,
Yeah.
you're paying, you're kind of requiring something that probably is not, adding dramatic. I mean, in some ways it does, but the question is, I think kind of what we were seeing, with enterprise DNA was, can people acquire that same knowledge in other ways? And, I think universities are going to have a massive reckoning
Yeah.
on that.
Well, the hard reality is yes, they can. I think that there's a lot of benefit in sparking interest or sparking ideas. I think that's a really good place to be. That's actually where I'm trying to take. That's what I want Enterprise DNA to be. We want to be the spark. But are you really going to sit through 6 hours of video to learn how to build in Lovable, for example, when you're just prompting in English? Like,
Right.
no, you're not. That would just be unreasonable to think that that is a good product to offer. Same with Windsurf, same with Cursor. But I think we can spark things. I think we can spark ideas. I think we can spark best practice things like, but it just doesn't have to be this long form content. Everything's going shorter. Everything's going a lot shorter, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do on the content side. But also I think online learning is going to go more AI. And so building AI products, AI experiences, AI learning tools. I mean, we've been doing this for 2 years, but I think this is where you want to gravitate towards AI voice technology because it's just better. It's just better. I mean, it's just that's the hard reality of it, right? It's just better. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of new things to learn. So I mean, that's the only sort of thing that keeps me thinking that there's always going to be a lot to learn. You know, a lot to learn in
Oh
this
yeah.
region, right? And I've got to be the spark. You've got to. I mean, you're doing it too. You're already doing it. Like it's got to be the spark around. Okay, this is how you get going. And there's value in that. There's value in that. Definitely.
I want to get back to a point you made earlier about, kind of the hype and the kind of breathless, this is the night, this is a game changer and everything's a game changer and, everything's, groundbreaking. And there's a guy I've become really, really into on YouTube. And it is the exact opposite. His name is Nate B. Jones.
Mm,
And he's been like a software developer like 30 years, and he sits in his study, and he's got beard, and he's got all this stuff on the shelves, and he talks. I mean, there's very little there's very little demo. There's no flash. I mean, it is the exact opposite of like everything you're supposed to do, in
mm,
video. And I love this guy's videos. They're like 10 minutes long, and he just sits there, and he's completely no hype. I mean, it's like no matter what the issue is, he just got this logical, kind of thorough analytical take on things. He's seen and done, a million things, and I really like it. I wanted to shout it out and see if you'd found it too, because he just, as I said, most of them are 10 minutes long, and that it's kind of for the depth he gets into. I think they're really, really well done. He's kind of
yeah.
impeccably, researched. So he did a
What
great
was
one.
what's his
Some
name again? What's his name again?
Date B. Jones,
Date B. Jones.
and there's no catchy title. I mean, there is nothing catchy about these, and nothing viral, but they're just so substantive. And he's just such a smart guy, and he reminds me when I was working for the government. One of our heads of emergency response was a guy I worked with for 30 years. And I swear I never saw his pulse go over 60. It was like, no matter, and he was the one who was kind of, the first one with information, when there was an emergency. And he was just calm nonstop. I mean, the biggest, hurricanes, spills, ship groundings, he would just calmly, say, okay, here's what's going on, here's what we need to do, here are the
Mm,
issues. And I think in the midst of kind of this kind of chaotic change, these voices of people who are just calm and clear and logical in kind of piecing out what is true, what is not, what is important, what is hype.
mm.
I'm really enamored of it, and
Yeah, I'll have to check it
my
out. I'll
wa-
just
my wife watches me watching it, and she's like, "This just seems so boring," and I'm like, I think a lot of people would have that reaction,
yeah.
but I
You know,
give it a watch and tell me what
yeah,
you think.
so much of the what you think is hype and what isn't hype is to do with where you were sitting before this all started. Because I'll give you some like anecdotes. So my developers, right? They've always been they don't want to use they were really hesitant to use AI, and I was using I was getting into it. I was using Lovable. I was going, guys, this is the future. You really want to, yeah, I really want you to start exploring using this. So, but they were hesitant for months and months and months. A few months ago, I said, look, I know this. I know the code is not perfect. I know that there is issues, but this undoubtedly makes you faster. It undoubtedly gets you in, it gets you to where you want to go in a more optimized way. It just will be in a different way to maybe you did it before. Like it might not be perfect from the word go, but you can build a prototype, refactor it, and then get on with your development post that. And that's where we've landed, right? But in their eyes, even today, even though I say Gemini is incredible, they think they say, well, look, when you really drill down into what it's doing and what code it's writing, it's not actually that amazing. Yes, it's still quite transformational, but it's not actually that good. And so, but then I sort of take a step back and I think, why would they be saying that? Why would they be saying that? And it's because it's just where they were sitting before this all happened. And it's sort of the coding thing is where it's really accelerated faster than undoubtedly coding is where the AI is used the most, right? So it's sort of entered their world faster than anywhere else. And so they don't see they don't see the hype, they don't see the big thing. But from my perspective, I'm like, I never was able to do this shit. I was never able to do any of this. So I'm like, this is incredible. Like this is actually amazing. And and so it's just the different takes, right? Like obviously he was a developer, maybe big into tech, and so he can not be as maybe excited about this model upgrade and this model upgrade because he was able to code before, like so I think a lot of it depends on that. And I think that's a framing, I bet you, for the entirety of people working in every business, right? Like, so a lot of people don't get the hype because they're working in accounting, or they're working in finance, and all AI is doing is like writing them faster emails. So I think it really depends where you sit for all this started happening.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely take that point. Yeah, I think it's also a personality thing because, like, I've been an analyst, since I was 24 years old,
Yeah.
and I've been so firmly entrenched in it. And when AI came along, it was like I was like, hey, Godspeed. It's like, if I can offload some of the stuff that, I've been doing that takes me a long time, and AI is as good or better at it, that's great. That I don't have any proprietary, kind of, I need to protect this. This is mine. One of the things that's been really interesting is the people who are really embracing AI in their work, what they're finding is they're happier. And I've kind of extended this. I want to talk about like AI in the personal life because I've
Mm.
read and learned a couple of things, and I've also started changing some that I've been doing, which is I kind of I kind of been making a list of all the things I hate to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm figuring out systematically how to eliminate those things from my life. And I'll give you a good example. So
Yeah.
I hate clothes shopping, like more than anything else, like I can imagine. And it's like,
Hmm.
people watching this are like, yeah, we know. Um, but one of the things I don't like, I can't stand going to stores. But the other thing about going online is you're kind of guessing what's going to fit and what's not. And so the other thing I hate doing is going to post office. So if I order a bunch of stuff doesn't fit, now I've got to go to the post office, drop it
Hmm.
off, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so I thought there's got to be a way to fix this problem with AI. And what I
Hmm.
did, I got a LiDAR app on my phone that
Hmm.
I stand in the hallway, I prop the phone up, and it takes a 3D scan of my body, and then I download the size chart for like whatever I'm looking at, like a suit
Hmm.
or, pair of shorts, and I throw that all into AI. I throw the LiDAR results, I throw the size chart in, and I say, do analysis and tell me what size is going to fit best for me. And it is nailing it every freaking time now.
Wow, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And, you know, it'll say, okay, for this brand, like these, an extra large is gonna gonna be even tight on you. In this brand, a large is gonna be huge, because
Hmm.
there is that, that real inconsistency. And you can say, well, take a tape measure, but most of these measures are different. It's like, your cervical length versus your center back measure. I don't know what that is. AI does
Hmm.
though. And if you just take a scan and you throw it in there. And so, I'm kind of going through my life and trying to sort out all the stuff I don't like to do. And I'm just going to see
Yeah.
if I can automate it all away.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing with AI as well. This is another reason why the AI jobs thing just drives me mad, right? Like I've always been quite optimistic for every time we have a call, right? I'm probably up there in the most optimistic going round. And all I see is just that jobs getting better, offloading jobs no one wants to do anyway to
Right.
these models, like call centers. I'm telling you, most people don't want to work in a call center. Most people don't want to call a call center. I would far rather talk to an effective AI voice to get what I needed done. I honestly would, and I'm pretty sure the other person would feel exactly the same way. So that's one. But then you just think about how many manual processes are there in business? How many times you check your email? Like, honestly, like so many things in work are going to get better. I mean, I used to sit there debugging Excel formulas, VBA formulas, DAX formulas for hours on end. I mean, now you can just offload that mental drain. I mean, it's just all good. It's all positive. You can start tackling at this higher level of abstraction. You can start tackling more interesting and creative and opportunistic things, you know? Imagine as a business, you didn't have to be tied down doing so much administrative stuff, and you could just explore the creative side of making more sales, building new products, building new experiences. Like this is what AI is enabling all over the place. I'm really banging on about this, but there is so many issues that need solving. I mean, how many? I mean, everyone has been hearing about the climate crisis for the last 20 years and how big a deal it is. I mean, think about how much energy and personnel and resource we can dedicate to that now with that because of AI. Everyone's been trying to solve diseases and cancer for decades on end. There's going to be more resources and capability to put towards that. So there's just so many opportunities that can be tackled now that just weren't able to be tackled before. There's just there'll be this redistribution. Yes, old businesses are gonna die if they don't evolve. Yes, totally. There's going to be disruption, just like there has always been. But there's just so many new things and so many things to solve. That just haven't been tackled yet. And I think that it's going to take entrepreneurs. The other thing about the jobs thing that you not only are you betting against all of human history, you're betting against all of human enterprise. Your entrepreneurs are going to appear and they're going to leverage this new technology and they're going to create a lot more jobs. They're going to create a lot more opportunities. Yes, they're going to look pretty different to what they did before, just like so many jobs look different post-internet, post-computer, right? It's just a natural thing. I mean, and I'm sure there was, I mean, I wasn't really sort of working when computers came along, but I'm pretty certain computers disrupted a whole lot of existing businesses. I'm pretty sure it did.
I was just talking to somebody about this. I said, I don't meet a lot of travel agents or mailroom clerks anymore.
Totally.
And I think there are still people doing those jobs, but I think the vast majority of them pivoted to something else and said, okay,
Totally.
I've got these general skills and these are the types of things I can do. And I can do it in another area, another domain that, you know,
Mm,
that or I can do it with the internet, just in the same way that, kind of the people leaning into AI. I think there were people who, leaned into the internet early and,
totally.
kind of reshaped the way they did their jobs and, kind of made huge strides in that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to sit there and think that, I don't know if we recorded this the time I said this, but like if you're anti-AI at this point, you're like someone sitting in a horse-drawn carriage when cars came along, saying that you've got a better way of transportation. Like I can't remember if we actually recorded that, but that's kind of how I felt about the doomers and the anti-AIs at that point, right? And this is exactly the same. This is exactly the same as what is happening now.
Yeah, I'm searching for something because I can't remember if it was Ethan Malik or Connor Grenham. There was a fascinating list. I think it was from a Harvard study, and it was what do people do with AI? And I gotta I gotta pull this up because I meant to do it before this call because it was really surprising to me in terms of what people are actually doing with AI. Because when you said here we go, Harvard Business Review. All right, so from 2020. forward to 2025, um, what do you think? And this can be either personal or professional. He's got the top 10 Gen I uses. What do you think is number one?
Coding.
Not even close. Coding
Oh,
is
is
coding
it
is
fr
number six.
oh my God, is it friendship? Is it friendship?
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Therapy companionship, number
Yeah.
one.
Which is which is kind of weird because I talk to the AI, but I don't see it as companionship. I just see it as an outlet for my own mind. But I don't know. I have heard this before. I heard that at a point, character AI that was more popular than ChatGPT like a year ago.
Yeah.
So
And Google paid like billions for the right for non-exclusive rights to it.
yeah, right. So yeah, no. So there's not a surprise, but yeah. Okay, and what else?
Do
Coding's number
you you want
six.
to you want to play along
Oh,
for a little bit
I
on
really
this?
am in a bubble. I'm in a bubble of coding is number six. What else?
So number two, organizing my life.
Mm,
Number three, finding purpose.
yeah,
Number four, enhanced learning. Five is generating code. Six is generating ideas. Seven is fun and nonsense, which I'm actually surprised that one isn't higher because
right, 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 right.
with the image stuff, with the video stuff, there's
The
a
tools.
lot of crazy things you can do with it now.
The tools aren't
Improve,
readily available yet, but yes, I see that coming.
improving code, um, and so generating code, improving code. So they split those out, and then creativity, and number 10 was healthier living. And you look at that, and that is fascinating to me that there
Mm,
really isn't. I mean, there's some things like creativity or generating ideas, that could be professional or personal, but a lot of the things that are on this list are personal.
yeah.
And that's
Well,
not the way I use it.
yeah, I use it in a lot of ways. But I'm mostly on the coding front, like mostly on the coding front. I do talk to AI pretty much every day at some point, just about just to offload ideas out of my mind, like for nothing else.
And how do you do that? Like, tell me, what does that look like?
I do it on my phone. So if I'm walking home or if I'm walking the dog, and I've got a few ideas or I've just got some sort of like sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have a coffee and I'll have like 10 ideas and I'll be like, okay, I better get these down before I forget them. Um, and so I'll just talk to the AI. It will sort of it sort of talks back to you, but also transcribe. I will say that I don't actually ever get any good insights from the AI voice that I use, like ChatGPT. That's why I kind of find it a bit weird for like the companionship example there, because I mean, I just get it agreeing with everything I'm saying. Like I don't actually have a very good dialogue with the AIs. It's kind of like it's basically slapping my back and saying how amazing I am. Like half the time when I know that I'm just you know even my wife doesn't even think that. I mean, it is interesting. I did want to tell you one thing. Okay, so AI is creating new family experiences. This is another thing that I think is really amazing. So I've been reading my kids' books before they go to bed, my two older ones, for years now, for years. They're 8 and 5. And I decided the other day to change it up. I said, okay, let's just do a quiz. Let's just do some quiz. I want to see if they're sort of actually learning anything. And we created, like in collaboration with ChatGPT Voice, we had a wild time creating our own quiz game with ChatGPT. And we were um we were actually laughing. We were competing, and I thought that was incredible. I just thought, wow, this is so cool. This is cool, you know. And the AI voice was sort of the asking the questions, tallying up the points. We told it to be, to be funny. It was crazy, and Ashley was looking at us from the other side of the room, going, like laughing as well. It's creating new experiences. The kids are doing all right. I think they're relatively smart, which is cool. But yeah, we've done it 3 times now. We did it and we had such a good time. We've done it a few other times,
That's awesome.
yeah, and I said, okay, let's do geography, let's do science, let's do sport, and we're having a great time, a great time. and they're learning, and I'm involved, and I think this is the start of a new thing, a new sort of form of entertainment, almost, right? Because if you think about it, you couldn't do this before. This never
Right.
was possible before. That's why AI voice is going to be so huge right away. Like it has, I'm telling you, it's not even started the amount of experiences and products and businesses that are going to be built on top of this like voice infrastructure that is just getting really, really good. I'm telling you,
Well,
it's going to be huge.
the thing I've been bowled over by is what people are doing with VO3. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the
I,
videos
I,
there.
I saw that, on the last our last time we chatted, you told me about that car, yeah, that car one. Oh my Lord. I watched that and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how real it was. And then
Yeah.
I've seen these other ones. I actually saw the most creative. Um, I mean, those who are saying that you can't be creative with AI are crazy. Like they are crazy, crazy people right now. Because I watched the most incredible short video, or maybe it's like 5 minutes long, and it was about how I don't know if you saw it as well. I should have shown. I should have seen the link. It was about how these AI voices. What do they do after they're not used anymore? And there was sort of they were sent back to this world where they hung out until they were called again. It was so funny. It was so funny and creative, and it looked just so real. And it had all these weather-beaten voice actors who were just waiting for their next AI voice call, to be called up by the next person, and how they had to deal with all the emotions of the humans. It was so funny. It was absolutely classic. But sorry, what have you seen?
Well, there's one I saw today, which was incredible. That it was kind of like this parody of like TikTok influencers, and
Oh, okay.
it was like influencers during the apocalypse, and it was kind of all the kind of stupid stuff people would do, but
The
it was
job
all
apoc
like
the job
raw.
apocalypse
Pardon?
was
No,
it?
no,
Was,
like the actual, like,
oh, okay.
you know, cities burning and meteors coming,
Oh, right.
and like how, like they were doing all these like idiotic challenges and stuff, and there were all the Bitcoin bros saying how they proved they were right, and it's like, I'm not doing it justice, but it was
Yeah.
brilliant. I mean, it was like it skewered like every type of kind of you know silly, like TikTok, and
Right.
I'm blanking on what the other it's all these other social media sites I'm not on, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really clever. There was one where they I saw that they were doing, it was an expose of a tech firm that had sponsored this program where they're building a synchronized swimming team of cats, and and then like there were like reporters that were exposing like this big doping scandal, and they were like trying to kind of interview the head of this tech firm, and he was like, no, I'm not, I'm not talking about it. And yeah, and it was just brilliant. Yeah, it was like it was it was exactly like the kind of thing you would see on like some investigative news show, but it was ridiculous at the same time. But the footage of the synchronized swimming cats was great,
Wow.
and I'm just
Wow.
thinking, there's nothing you can't do now.
No, I know, I know. It's you've got to send me some of these links because I would love to watch these.
Yeah,
It's
they're
so funny. It's
amazing.
it's it's a new form of entertainment, isn't it? It's a totally new form. Think about how many businesses are going to be created because of these new possibilities. I mean, that's what I see. That's what I see. I mean, there'll be these new companies that focus on just those things. There'll be new companies that do that stuff for marketing, like there's so many new opportunities. But, at the same time, yes, it's totally disrupting the existing marketing agency. It's totally disrupting maybe the consulting type firms, but they're going to have to adjust just like everyone else. That's what you have to do at a business and enterprise level, but also, you kind of actually got to do it at a micro, like individual level too. It sort of feels the same. So this is the same sort of thing. You can adjust to something better. Like, I mean, even you and I, if we could probably create some parody thing on is it called VO2 or VO3? VO3.
Well, there's VO2, which is the cheaper one, and VO3 is the really top-notch one that does the,
Right.
in addition to the visuals, it'll do voices and sound effects and music. I mean, the stuff you can produce off that, and when the cost of that starts coming down, it was interesting. I was talking to one of the really top-notch video experts, and you know I was watching the Google I/O presentation, and I was like, man, when these guys start getting a hold of VO3 credits, we're going
Yeah.
to see some amazing stuff. And I've always been a big movie fan, and there's nothing I want to go see at the movies now. I would much rather watch. I would much rather watch what some of these AI video experts are doing with their VO3 credits than watch anything that's at a movie theater in my neighborhood.
Yeah. I haven't been to the movies for, I think I went with the kids maybe a year ago. But other than
Right.
that, I have not been to see a movie. I binge Netflix a lot. I've got every subscription to the streaming stuff. Um, Yeah, look, there is opportunities everywhere. If there was one theme from this chat, it is there is opportunities everywhere if you just actually dig in and explore and figure it out, you know? That's what I keep telling myself. I keep telling myself this every day. Every day I wake up these days, I'm like, if you just keep building, you keep going here, there is going to be new things that open up. And this is what I've been on for months now. That's why we're totally changing what enterprise DNA even is. We are all in on educating around this new wave, but also building tools and new apps that people can use um, to empower this new wave even more. So, everyone's in a similar sort of boat. I know a lot. I mean, as you know, like a lot of people don't like this, don't like change, particularly change that's happening so fast. But this is what's happening. I think you just got to see it for what it is, and you've got to evolve to something better too.
Yeah, and that I think the thing that was really encouraging for me this week was just seeing how many more people are really out there doing this, because the last time I watch, I always go back and rewatch the conversations, because while we're in the midst of, talking, it's like I kind of forget sometimes, like, we'll just talk for 2 hours and I'll be like, when we talked about a lot of stuff. And
Mm.
when I go back and rewatch them, it's like there are points that I just forgot about. And one of the things that really stands out to me this week is just the number of people coming out and saying, "Look at this cool thing I'm doing."
Great.
And it's kind of like I was so encouraged by that, because the last time we talked, what I was saying was when I listened to that, it was kind of like, where are all the people doing this stuff? Like we're doing it and we think it's amazing, but why
Mm.
aren't we seeing that? And I think it's just because a lot of these people don't have a venue or a place to do it. And this guy who did the PL 600 learning tool, he actually said he had just gotten out of the army, and while he was in the army, he's like, social media posting is kind of a not an encouraged thing. But he's like, now that I'm out, you know, I feel unconstrained to do that. And it's like finding kind of that there's this receptivity to it. I think it's been really cool for him. And so, I
Mm.
think there's a lot of people out there who, you know, once they see that they've got, a channel to do, and it's I know, you're super busy, I'm super busy, but I want to kind of use more of my posting time to really highlight these
Mm.
activities as well. Because I think it's
Yeah, I
really
should, I
important
should do that. I should do that
for
more too.
people to see other voices and hear, to kind of get a balanced view of how common this is or isn't.
Yeah. You know who I said would be great to have on? Well, there is one person who I spoke to last week who would be great to have on who's building this Power BI learning game. Would be a great person to talk to, right? Because they're still a Power BI trainer, but they've sort of realized this is the new wave and they're
Oh,
building
tell me,
stuff.
what kind of game is it? There's somebody's coming out with a game that I've heard for it's a
Yeah, I
Power
think
BI game.
it's probably the same. It's probably the same person. It's like a Lord of the Rings type Power BI learning game. It's very good.
Okay.
I mentioned it last time. So yeah, maybe they'd be great candidates just to come in and have a chat with and sort of talk about their journey as well. The other person who I thought would be really good to come on and have a chat is Rick. Like I reckon just getting his insight into if he just gets into it and just starting off, like getting his insight, because I mean he's a super sharp guy,
Yeah,
big
yeah,
into
definitely.
Power BI, and is
Tons of
probably in this.
domain
Yeah,
expertise.
tons of yep. It's got is it in is the midst of this sort of transformation. It'd be really interesting to get his sort of take as well. I'm telling you, a guy like Rick would learn how to develop apps in a week. Honestly, like, with using the right tools and just digging into the AI, you know, that's how achievable it is for someone with that sort of expertise and that sort of level of intelligence, you know, like no sort of doubt about it. I mean, look, it's still not plug and play. No, you need to know what you're doing. You need to learn how
Right, right.
you know to learn how you're doing. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not like it's a walk in the park, but once you know, your world opens up. You know, the other big trend I was just gonna mention. The other huge trend that I see that I've started to realize that this is a way that we can build tools and apps to help is that everyone's going to have a lot of software to manage. So in the past, you might have built one piece of software. But what I'm finding is I already have six pieces of software. I've got six apps that I'm trying to manage now. And I need a lot of things to manage that. Like not only do I need the hosting, do I need the database, I also need the email service. I also need the checking if there's errors on my sites. I
Mm.
need to um, yeah, there's this whole raft of things that existed before, but you're going to need a lot more of it. And there's a lot of existing players that spend a lot of money building up these huge products, right? But there's room for vibe coding products that do exactly the same thing, but they're just incredibly simple, a lot cheaper. You know, so there's quite a big opportunity opening up there. I think. There's also you know the other opportunity I thought of the other day, which I'd be interested to get your thoughts on. A lot of these vibe coding tools, some of them are very cool, but enterprises will never touch them. They'll never touch them because of the perceived sort of security issues. That a lot of
Hmm.
those are sort of just imaginary, honestly, but perceived. Some have some security issues. I'm absolutely certain of that. Um, but there probably is a bit of a service to provide a like security audit of these apps and sort of you know how you get like a rubber stamp for if something is enterprise ready or is secure. Yeah, there's probably some offering in there that you can deliver a lot cheaper than you could historically because you can use AI to explore an entire code base in you know in minutes, right? And I thought, okay, there's a lot of vibe coders building some seriously cool stuff, right? Some seriously cool stuff out there. But there isn't this bridge to take it to sort of like an enterprise ready product. Enterprises need some stamp of approval to like to actually take this thing on. So
Yeah.
I thought that enterprise DNA could be we could deliver something in that sort of realm. Just based, we could actually leverage some of the stuff we've already built to actually move into a product like that. So I don't know. That was those are a couple of ideas that I've sort of seen potentially that we can explore.
You know, the security thing is a huge one. And there was a really interesting thing I read this week was that O3 actually found a 0-day vulnerability that no one else had found. And it was a guy who was doing research and a really, really advanced Linux security guy. And
Mm,
he came across this and said that it's a huge vulnerability. It affects Linux, it affects most Wi-Fi routers, and nobody had found it until O3 did. And it's like
yeah.
that's an interesting thing. Both interesting and scary, in the sense that it was good that it was the security expert who found it, before the hackers did. But, one of the questions I get on MCP all the time is, was this secure? And, the answer is it depends. That if you're just kind of going around and pulling random MCP servers off people's GitHubs, probably not. But, I look at the security that, Pipedream provides, and it's like, everything's encrypted, SOC 2, vulnerability testing, they've got an
Mm,
incident response team, all these things. And it's like, as I was reading through, this when I started using it, I'm like, man, I don't think the rest of my system is this secure, you know, and and
Yeah.
so, it's kind of like, I think it really depends on, how you do it, how you implement it. But, to
Mm,
say, I think for organizations to say, well, this just seems insecure, and discard it, is really throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because
yeah.
there are going to be right and wrong ways to do this. And I think kind of, this is something that always frustrated me in the government was, there were certain things you just couldn't even bring up for approval because they're like, we're not doing that. And
Mm,
you know,
mm,
I was always, of the mindset that, evaluate each thing on its own merits. And, it's kind of like the people who say, oh, we have Power BI and they don't let us use any external tools and no custom visuals. And it's like, well, you're really limiting your developers and your staff in that way. And
yeah.
so, I'm kind of hoping that, AI doesn't, I mean, it'll probably fall prey to the same mentality in a lot of ways that, just be these blanket bans of can't use this, can't use that. Um, but I'm hoping it evolves in a better way than that.
I don't know if everyone sees this or if they don't, but the security is in many ways the way that big tech protects themselves. That is, they make it in it's called in government they call it regulatory capture. I don't know
Mhm.
what you would call it in technology sense, but it's kind of the same thing, is they make it so expensive to live up to these security um, bars that it's really hard for new entrants to actually enter. Some of those concerns are legitimate. Some are just made up by tech firms to make you spend more money on their products, basically. Look, I don't know if that's going to be broken down. I doubt it. That the big tech will just fight tooth and nail to make it impossible for people to compete because of how expensive it becomes. The burden around security is so high. I mean, I can almost guarantee that Google and Microsoft and ChatGPT will say, and Claude will say that they're the only secure AI vendors. I'm just waiting for this to happen, honestly. So
Yeah.
no one else can enter. Um, but look, there's a lot of these little opportunities. I mean, this is what I see day in and day out. There's too many opportunities to actually go after all these different things. But we're trying to go after things that make sense for us. Around our evolution, and this is the same everywhere. But look, I think this reduction in cost of software is just so significant. It's just such a big change that currently it's just the change at the source. But this is going to infiltrate businesses, and because those tools that people are building, eventually they're going to make their way into workflows and specific domains where they accelerate things, they make things better, right? And so there's going to be this period, or there's going to be this need for ways of making those more secure, or having sort of just the confidence that these things are actually enterprise ready in a lot of cases. So it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, we're in doing a lot of the building that we're doing at Enterprise DNA, we're just learning about we're learning so much about this new world of managing all of these new things that you're building. It's really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll give you one anecdote. So there's this really big firm called Sentry. Sentry, and supposedly they're actually like a bit of a rocket ship at the moment in terms of their revenue. But what they do is they track everything on your website, and they show you what your visitors are doing. Anytime that there is someone clicks on something and it doesn't work, you get an alert. Supposedly they're doing really well in enterprise. You use this thing. It is the most complicated piece of like a SaaS you've ever used in your life. I mean, we tried to use it and we couldn't even understand it. It's almost like you need five people in a big enterprise to actually run this thing. Um, and then we realized, man, we just need some simple thing here. We don't need this. Historically, it made sense to build something so big because software was all just about the big players, right? Like it wasn't about the smaller players. And so, but now that everyone's vibe coding, there's this new market. There's this huge new market of apps that just want this simple plugin that does it for $10 a month, instead of $150 a month. So that sort of thing is the way that you need to think in this new era, is that that reduction in software is opening up brand new markets and all sorts of vectors that are hard to see right now, but it is happening.
It's really interesting in that Meeker report, going back to that, is the thing she talked about was reduction in cost. You're exactly right. That I think, I need to make sure I got the numbers right, but I think she said in the last 10 years, the price of a token, of processing a token, has gone down by a factor of 105. So not 105%, 105
105
times.
times. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was tokens a thing 10 years ago? I never.
Apparently so. I mean, it
Right.
was like, who knew? Certainly wasn't
Yeah.
on my radar screen. But
Yeah.
you know, even just talking about in the last couple of years, like what the DeepSeek R1 folks are doing, bringing costs down 99.7%.
Yeah.
It's like, that's remarkable in this short of time. And so, I think it's going to make a lot of this technology, very accessible. They were talking about,
Mm.
the decrease in the price of chips and, kind of everything around it. And so, yeah, I think, your optimism is well founded. That, as you read through that, like I kept thinking, these are numbers that back the viewpoints you've been saying for months.
Mm. Imagine sitting in your job or just sitting around worrying about AI taking your job for years on end. I mean, who wants to do that?
Yeah,
I
right,
mean,
right.
it's a far better life if you're a little bit optimistic. I mean, I have in the past year to 18 months, I have had many reasons to not be optimistic about many things in my life and in business, right? But I'm just not going to
Well,
live
you
like
got
that.
you got so heavily disrupted, right? From literally the first weekend.
Of
I
like
mean,
AI.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw it. Yeah. I mean, no doubt. I mean, we both saw it. We both saw it.
yeah.
But I'm not going to live every day of my life worried that AI is going to take my job or destroy my business. I mean, you're just going to find a new way. I mean, if you're out there posting about this stuff, I mean, I honestly don't know how you enjoy life, right? It's kind of like, okay, so nuclear weapons, right? Terrible, terrible. Imagine worrying about nuclear weapons for 40 years. Like, who wants to live like that? Who wants to try to be optimistic? You got to believe that you can be adaptable, that your business can be adaptable, that humans are adaptable. Like you got to believe, or it's just not a way, not a really a positive way to live. That sounds like a really good way to end our conversation. What do you think, Brian?
I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too. But I
Be
can't
more,
believe,
po- be more
the time
positive and
just goes by
optimistic.
so fast in this.
People just didn't. Our listeners just don't realize that they're getting such good life advice from this Vibecast as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I love, as I said, I love going through them again because I just pick up, things. But I'm really on this thing of like improve your life by getting rid of making AI do the things you hate. That's my
Love it.
new that's my
Yeah,
new theme.
totally. I wonder if I can get AI to help me deal with annoying clients who email me issues every day.
Oh,
Oh,
you
probably.
know, I've got my little agent thing, flagging certain emails
Oh yeah.
and suggesting responses. I don't use
Mm.
the AI as an automatic response, but
Yeah.
definitely the other thing I did want to mention real quick is I did something for the first time last week that I was shocked by how good it was, which is I recorded a Zoom call and I pulled the trend I took the audio out, ran the audio through the OpenAI Whisper model, and the thing that was incredible is when I put that into Gemini Pro 2.5, it created a summary, and there were two of us talking back and forth for like an hour and a half, and at no point did it say like, okay, Brian said this, the other guy said this. Gemini got it perfect in terms of who was who said what. It summarized the meeting way better than I could in like
Mm,
30 seconds. And I was like, wow. Like the fact that it processed the voices and knew who was who, because there was,
mm,
I say, there was no indication, there was nothing in the visual that would have said it. And it was like, wow, that because I didn't even feed it the visual. I stripped the visual out in Camtasia.
mm,
Because it
mm.
was like it did have this, but
Yeah.
I never provided that to the AI, and it nailed it perfectly. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
something that
I mean, I haven't used my team actually do that on our cast, on our vodcast, but I don't actually do it myself. So, but yeah, I
something
mean,
to just give a try.
we
'Cause
know the transcription is amazing. Like, I mean,
yeah,
transcription is near perfect now, absolutely near perfect. It's why iPhones just drive me absolutely completely insane.
that
Um,
problem solved now today, as of today.
yeah, okay. I'm probably gonna have to upgrade. I'm gonna have to upgrade to Whisperflow. I've tried to build my own things and you know, live my truth of being an AI software developer now. But maybe
Eat your own dog food.
yeah. Um, so but maybe I need to yeah, maybe just
Well,
my sanity.
at least till you get yours fully operational. It's like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Maybe just for my sanity, I need that. I need it just so I can stop swearing on my iPhone.
yeah. Well, this is great,
Okay.
Sam.
Yep, good stuff.
Thanks so
Loved
much.
it. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. See you,
Talk to
bro.
you soon.